Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I hope to be brief, but I really feel compelled to come to the well. The bill that's just been presented by the author, his comments were full of statements like, I expect that, I would think so, I would imagine that'd be the case. Has there been a meeting with the Secretary of State, the person who is elected statewide, a constitutional officer, to run our elections? Has the Secretary of State come and testified on this bill, or have you had a meeting with him? Do you know what his systems are? You say you believe, the author says he believes that there's a system in place over there at the Secretary of State that could accept this information. And then it's troubling if you don't have answers to those questions, if you're imagining and you're thinking and you think, surely it would be that way. No, what does the Secretary of State tell you that he has on hand right now? What's the system? Would it require upgrading? What would that cost? And to what purpose would we spend the money to do it when I hear it repeatedly from the majority party that, and it was said in the House proceedings on election bills as well, that a lot of people don't have confidence in our election system. Well, you know, the big lie got told here for a good 6 months, running up to the presidential election. The big lie got told from the White House and then spread out through the echo chamber of the right wing that if this president doesn't win re-election, this is a rigged election. Period. Paragraph. No further. No questions accepted. That is indubitably the case. If this president doesn't win the election, then it's been a rigged election. Every one of us who knows that this was not a rigged election, the votes were counted over and over and over, I believe 3 to 4 times in this state. The president called down here and tried to get our Secretary of State to change the totals by 11,000 plus votes so that he could get enough votes to win Georgia. And that's I'm not making that up. I'm not imagining that. I'm not thinking that. So it was taped by our Secretary of State, and he released the tape because he expected that, in my opinion, that he might be misrepresented by the president about the nature of that call. And he was not the only election official down here that was called by that got the call from the White House about let's look around for some more votes, asking our election officials to figure out how to cook up a vote total to have him be able to put Georgia in the Trump column. Thankfully, our Secretary of State did not yield to that. But that big lie was told all the way up to January 6th, to the point of whipping up people to go into our capital and wage war. Lives lost. The hugest challenge to our democracy since the Civil War and secession, which was, by the way, about the same topic, and that is the ability of people of color and African American people to fully participate as equal citizens in our democracy. So when you all talk from the majority party about we've got to reassure people because they're thinking that there's something going wrong here, do you think about reassuring the African American voters of this state? We have a 33% black population in this state, the 3rd highest in the nation. We are the state that's the home of Dr. Martin Luther King. We are the state that refused to seat Julian Bond when he got elected to the Georgia House because he opposed the Vietnam War. We have a lot of sins to atone for. So when we get up here and focus 30-some bills in this legislature on changing the voting laws, are we concerned in your hearts? Look into your hearts. Are you concerned about the message that you're sending to black citizens of this state? There's deep unease. There's deep unease about access to the ballot. We were the first state in the country in 2005, and a few of us were here then, to put in a photo ID. And we're always couching it that we're assuring the voters it's going to be a great new day and the vote's going to be safe and it's going to be honest and it's not going to be fraudulent. And they're relatively speaking, they're just virtually maybe 10 incidents or something that anybody's heard of voter fraud. That's not what's going on here. It was a big lie that got told, and I maintain that you continue to support the essence of that lie when you come with a raft of bills. And these are not the most onerous. We'll see worse. There's worse in the pipeline. But I just think we're challenged as leaders to take into account the history. We heard the senator from the 26th express his pain from a lifetime of having to battle for every inch that he gained and his ability to fully exercise his rights. We have the largest black caucus, maybe Mississippi's larger, in the nation. The Black Caucus, the legislative Black Caucus, is taking positions against these bills. And I just ask you to search your hearts about what damage you are doing when and my mailbox is flooded every day, and my phone calls and emails from people saying, please oppose these onerous voting laws, these voter suppression bills that are being passed in here. So when and let me just say one or two more things. I said it'd be short, and I'm sorry I'm not. But we say that we're sure these election boards in all 159 counties across the state, they can do this. Yeah, they can get this done on election day. Well, sure they can. They just do it, and they send it in, and it's done. You know, I believe truly in your hearts that we underfund the election process. It's fragile, it's underfunded, it's understaffed. It's 159 counties, each trying to get it together and pull off this thing, and we had the highest turnout ever of African American voters. We had exponential increase in Asian American voters. We had a huge turnout. Yay, isn't that great? But these election boards are slammed to the wall to keep up with all of this. They're underfunded and they're understaffed. But we so I would say to you, think very seriously about supporting a bill that puts another mandate on our county election boards without a dime to increase their budgets so that they can get the job done, without another dime to the Secretary of State to set up a system to take all this information in. Think about all of that, and above all, what message are we sending Georgia when we have 30-plus voting bills that don't really cure the problem that the senator from the 40th pointed out, and that is it's leadership that reestablishes confidence in our system, not a raft of bills that frighten people to death that they're going to create, and in many cases they do create barriers to accessing the ballot. These are weighty questions, and again, as the senator from the 40th stated earlier in the well, we have a huge raft of challenges in our state. We're in the midst of a pandemic. We've lost 500,000 people in the country. Is this where we spend all our time and intentionality? Or do we get on with the business of covering people with access to health care, dealing with the pandemic, getting the vaccine out, funding public health, funding the election process? If you came with some bills to more richly fund our election process for the counties, that would be a real enhancement. So I say to you, I think we're on the wrong path, and if all of us had spoken out a lot earlier, before January 6th, and told the truth about our elections in Georgia, we could have possibly, if that had happened across the country, particularly from the GOP, you could have possibly waylaid this big lie that too many people thought was the truth. Thank you. I'll yield the well if there are no questions.
You have no questions.